I wanted to share how I teach myself how to learn and also how I teach ChatGPT how to learn. So, a lot of us use ChatGPT for prompting and for research and all kinds of things. I've been using ChatGPT for creating a discourse community that I am self hosting using Render and GitHub. So, as I have been doing this in the last couple of days, I have run into multiple issues. And one of the things that I've learned to do to help myself and also to help ChatGPT learn is to ask it what it learned through the conversation. So if I create a project, I usually have multiple different conversations in that project because it strings out. So after it gets a certain length, it can't go back very easily and look at what is or has been said. So I ask at that time for ChatGPT to tell me what it's learned, and then I have it write a prompt for the next conversation for the next professional that I want. So today, as I was building the discourse community on Render and GitHub and self-hosting this because I don't want to use a cloud because it's $100 a month, and I like, okay, I'm done with paying all of this money to all of these software things and everything else. So I'm self-hosting as much as I can, N8N and this community that I'm creating. So I wanted to share this with you because it's a really good way for you to start to learn how the AI learns, how the LLMs learn. And also it's a really great way for you to understand what they think of your prompts. Because a lot of times when you're prompting, and I know because I've done this, you're prompting not correctly and you're prompting in a way that doesn't make sense. So I use a tool, it's called Prompt Generator, and I will put that tool below this video so that you can use it. But I use that, and that is my precursor to my prompt. So I kind of free flow in that, look at that prompt, read it for sense, and then take what I need and say, okay, I like this and this and this. I want you to write it with these things in mind and then make these changes. So I massage my prompts so that all of the instructions that are going into ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Claude, and everywhere else are specific to exactly what I want. And with this particular project, which is a self-hosted discourse and push from GitHub into Render, it was really difficult to know exactly what to do because I was counting on ChatGPT to tell me, okay, these are the steps. What I didn't do was ask it to create the steps. So this is what it learned after everything. And I started this project yesterday at around 7 o'clock at night. I went into about 10:30, so that's 3.5 hours. And then today, when I asked to start this over again or, continue it, I said, how long is this going to take? And that was 10 o'clock this morning. It's now 7 o'clock. So 9 hours. And regardless of what it takes me, I don't know how long it will take you or how shorter it will take you. Some people, are really used to this. If you are new to the vibe coding community or you're new to all this self-hosting like I am, then it will probably take you longer because the mistakes that are made are mistakes that you don't even know are being made. And a lot of the times you learn as it learns, and then you realize, oh, wait, this is not correct. And I have to go back and change this. And you'll learn that, especially when you run your logs in, if you're using a terminal and you have, a lot of errors, it just, you'll learn a lot quickly. So where I was 4 months ago to where I am right now is so different. And one of the things that I have taken to heart is, how do I train my LLMs better so that I am able to get the best out of that LLM the fastest without having a conversation that runs into another conversation? So what I have made myself do is create the project, but only want one conversation for that project so that I know if I have to continue that project into another conversation, I am not continuing it with the same problems. It's a new problem or it's a new solution that I'm looking for. So when I asked ChatGPT today, and the reason I'm using ChatGPT and not Claude is because Claude keeps timing me out, and I'm just at the F-bomb stage with Claude. Not that I'm not with ChatGPT as well, but I have just written Claude off for right now. It's just become this kind of elite where, put more money in and then I'll think for you kind of thing. So I've stopped doing that. Anyway, what I learned from this 8-hour build, it's telling me what it learned, the exact instructions that were executed, the final working path, what it shows here, where my like host names are, my production names, my secret keys, etc. Those don't show here, so you're not going to get anything on that one. The memory fix, where they made big mistakes. I ask ChatGPT always to tell me where are the mistakes that you made and what could you have done better. So these are the mistakes it made and then what it would do differently next time. And this is important because now I know that I have a prompt to use for the next project if in fact it's similar to this project. So if it's a self-hosted project, I have a very good prompt to start with because now it knows exactly what to do and the steps it takes. So this is really, really important if you are going through large builds, especially if you're going through N8N kind of builds where you need to go back and forth on the prompts. I will put the prompt generator link below so that you have that as well, because that's really, really helpful. And it's helped me a lot to understand how to prompt better because each of us learns in a different way. We all don't learn in the same exact way. Finally, the educational system has kind of figured that out, I guess. Regardless, the point being that if you learn in a certain way, I learn visually a lot of times and I have to spell. I have to see how it's spelled in order to understand phonetically how I am saying the word. I'm very much of a speller and I like the grammar of it. So I want to know, okay, how am I spelling this? How am I grammatically making this correct? Is my point really clear? So I ask it to create a prompt for the next part of this build, and it does. And now it has a prompt that I'm able to take and create this prompt with the next part of the build for the next professional. So I ask it to be a professional in whatever I'm doing, whether it's research or JSS code or CSS code, whatever it is, I ask it to be that professional. And so this helps it out, the LLM, it meaning the AI LLM, to think in a way that makes sense for the actual project to get done. And I always give the project a very specific goal so that it knows this is the end goal of this project. This is what I want. And when I do that, I'm able to say, go back and tell me what the goal is so that it knows to refresh itself and know, okay, this is what my goal is. So this is the prompt for the next professional, the expert in discourse and render with 20 years experience, etc. So it's telling what the next project professional needs to do, where it needs to finish the setup wizard and attach the domain and then force the HTTPS and then confirm the email deliverability using SendGrid, all this other good stuff, right? So this is all stuff that I kind of knew, but I didn't know as well as I know now. Let's put it that way. So now I have a very succinct ending to my conversation that I'm able to use to start the next conversation so that I'm not going back and saying, can you see this other conversation? Can you pull in all this stuff and like copying the whole thing and then having it decipher it. Instead, it's now gone through the entire conversation and it said, this is what I've learned. When I ask it specific questions like, what did you learn? What mistakes were made? How would you fix those mistakes this time? What is your process? What is the next professional going to do? And so it gives itself its own working memory so that you're not having to go back and say, oh, I need you to do this. This is where a lot of the times things come out totally crappy because you're not giving it the overall view. And I know because I've done it so many times. The first site that I built with software that I was building, which is Credly.ai, that was a disaster. I had 4,400 lines of CS code in that thing. And I was like, how did that happen? So understand that these are the things that are going to happen to you, but they are the things that you can figure out how to mitigate the next time. So each time I go through this, I always mitigate everything. Like I'm thinking, okay, what could I have made better here? What part of this did I not explain so that I can be a better explainer when I go to explain what I need? So I'm sharing this with you because as I go through this, I'm like, this is something that I wish I had in the very beginning, because these are the mistakes that I've made over and over. And I've had to do this with just thinking about this. And especially now that my threads, my conversations are so much longer and they're so much more in depth with coding, with CSS, with create a file in the VSC code, the VSC terminal, so that I am not just putting a bunch of footer text in there, create a file for my automated mapping for my blog so that the LLMs pick me up, kind of thing. Like all of this stuff I'm creating files for so that everything is now able to be just grabbed from the back of the blog, let's say, and utilized. It just says, if I say grab this file folder and use these instructions for this type of post, it will be able to give me that pillar content, that the satellite URLs and the educational content, or what type of indexing content I want, all kinds of things. So now that I'm learning how to automate, which the automation part of it sounds really sexy, but what's not so sexy is the build of that automation. And this is where having your LLM know what it learned and be able to tell you what it learned, then you've got a really good way of capturing exactly what you are doing so that next time I need to do this. Now, keeping yourself organized, that's a whole other problem that some of us have, some of us don't, because we've learned. I still have a lot of things to organize in my file folders on my desktop or in my Google Drive, wherever. So it's not as easy to keep yourself in that space of being super, super organized where you can just grab and go. But it is a start. So I wanted to share this with you because now I have built my first discourse community that is online now, hopefully, and I will be able to start automating that content so that I can rank in the LLMs. The goal is to automate that content on a daily basis for the next however long it needs and be able to grow based upon organic ranking with the AI LLMs. That's the whole point of this. Anyway, I hope it helped you. And the link for the prompt generator is below. If you have any questions, just DM me and I'll talk to you later. Bye.